very good morning to you all. Welcome to Sunrise Daily today. I'm Chamberlain Uso.
Yeah, good morning to you. I am Bukola Samuel Wemimo. Welcome to Sunrise Daily on Channels Television.
We're going to go ahead and take you through some of the dailies this morning, and we'll start with The Guardian. They are focusing on politics, as will others, which you get to see, and that will be for a while. I mean, think of it, we've got a long period of campaign before the general elections dates actually go on. So take a look at the front page of The Guardian. The big lead right there is about politics. VP, APC still consulting as PDP screens Wike today. Ganduje, Masari, El Rufai on the list. Northwest favored due to block votes amid Muslim consideration. Kalu justifies APC's Muslim ticket. ACF ex-scribe Sani warns parties, says Muslim ticket recipe for crisis. And, well, it turns out that this happens to be the stark reality we're faced with, even though lots of people you hear people say all sorts of things, politicians, who, by the way, are not leaders.
Is that the same Kalu? I wonder if you've read the story. Is it Ojios or Kalu or another Kalu? Because I'm now wondering what happened to the agitation for a presidency or Southeast vice presidency.
It's a game of interests. So in politics, interest shifts. They realign. So if they see the interest today, if it's not in their interest, and another interest is right there on the right hand, on the other side, they realign. So, you know, when you follow this kind of scenario in politics, you should learn to realign and understand the philosophy of some of these
So we should realign in our thinking also.
Don't be surprised by a lot of things, because that's the way, you know, the politics plays itself out here. But, you know, the thing about all of this, too, is that when you hear this kind of narrative or read through some of those headlines, you just wonder, so are they trying to tell the people now that if they don't go that route, they will not be elected?
The election.
And you ask yourself, look, so what then happens to, is it that people don't vote anymore concerning or along the lines of people's capacity or capability or the projects or what they intend to deliver to Nigerians? And then they talk about this kind of thing as to the only reason why they have to win elections? Wow. Isn't that a new low? You know, but look, make of it what you will.
I'm wondering what happened to the calls for equity, justice, and fairness. What happened to the talks about Muslim ticket would be a recipe for disaster, you know, the need for equal representation and all of that.
This guy says these things only when it suits them, period. So, and if you're expecting politicians to show you leadership, you may have to think again, because that is not necessarily their style. They are politicians. Politicians think only about winning the next elections. So they don't necessarily have to tell you about leadership. They might just ascribe or give that toga of leadership in order to kind of, you know, give it a good look, a facade, so to speak. Because, I mean, ask them about your vision for your children, as one of the several leaders you just see people ask certain questions of leaders. They can't tell you that. They are primarily concerned about winning the next elections. And that's what informs many of those actions and decisions that they take. Just go back and look at why are things going on. So who knows, it just might help you moving forward. You never know.
And regardless, we must continue to ask those critical questions.
Of course.
What are their plans? What are their visions? Yeah.
That's The Guardian today.
And from The Guardian newspapers, let's take a look at leadership. And leadership also leads with politics. The big story says, Northeast, Northwest lobby Tinubu for running mate. PDP screens VP candidate today. Of course, we know the direction that is leading already with the PDP having picked its own vice presidential candidate. Now, look at the rider. This is an interesting one. Senator Binta Garba makes case for female vice presidential candidate. Chimberlain.
Good case. I mean, whatever case anybody has got to make your case.
Even if she doesn't get a foot in the door, but...
Is it about her?
It's not about her, it's about the case. So even if that case doesn't get a foot in the door, it's a good thing that someone is starting that conversation, and the responses to it would show the level of maturity in terms of, you know, the calls for female representation in the political space.
Yeah, look, they don't necessarily expect, or they shouldn't, how do I say now, expect the kind of result they want to get immediately. Because even if you don't get it immediately, you have to hang on. Look at politicians. Some of them contest for 4 consecutive times, 4-year interval. They hang in there.
True.
So if you need something to be done, just take a look at how some of those things are done. So you never know. So you have to have that mental toughness. Look, people could say anything. That's the opinion. Insofar as you have a focus, you look at the big picture, you know where you're headed, stay the course. It doesn't matter what may distract you.
Well,
stay
resilience will not begin if someone doesn't start the conversation.
Yeah.
And so
that's why it's good.
So the female politicians must take it up from there.
It will be interesting to see that happen, though.
Well, the same measure.
You never can tell. What if the vice presidency slot of one of these parties goes to a female? You never can tell.
It will be interesting, and it will be, you know...
anything is possible.
History in the making.
Politics. Anything is possible.
We already have a female governorship candidate in Adamawa State, and I believe there's also another female governorship candidate in another state, I think Delta. I'm not sure now. So it's the beginning of a good conversation.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at some more stories from the leadership newspapers before we exit. ASU issue more complicated than Nigerians think. That's coming from the federal government, the Minister of Information, to be precise. And he says that there are a lot of issues, there are a lot of actions being taken behind the scenes to solve this complicated issue. But really, government is there to resolve complicated issues.
But the narratives...
That's the crux of this conversation about the leadership recruitment process, isn't it?
Yeah, look, it's yeah, you could say that. But sometimes the narratives that comes from these political office holders, even the Ministry of Education themselves, both the Minister and Minister of State, ASU has not been happy with it. And so then when you hear this kind of thing, it sends some sort of conflicting messages.
Signals.
From different hem sheets, not on the same page with ASU, and you ask almost the same kind of questions. It's almost being rhetoric, as a matter of fact. But the challenge stares us in the face. Not when you even hear the fact that an accountant general of the Federation can be accused of, what, is it 80 billion? It's so mind-boggling. And my brain can't process it. And that's just one. And then they linked another
to him.
Is it 90? Oh,
and some assets are being uncovered amid all of that.
What about the former accountant general who is said to have returned, is it billions or trillions, to the AFCC when the former AFCC chairman was there? What did the country know about it? Did they brief us? So all of these assets that are even recovered, what is happening to all of those? Remember, that was the reason why the former AFCC boss was said to have been removed. What then became of that? So there's just so many things going on.
And add to that, if ASU can't be paid, why is government increasing or considering increasing salaries of government officials?
And to make it all a lot more challenging, these are public funds. We always say that politicians don't go to govern with their pocket money. It's public funds, of which the public have every right to ask them all of those questions, no matter how uncomfortable they may think it is.
Absolutely.
You have to ask them the questions.
Absolutely.
That's
accountability. And just this last one before we exit leadership newspapers, it's at the top corner, Yobe senatorial ticket, why I won't step down for Lawan. That's coming from Machina. He spoke on our program yesterday, Politics Today. That will be interesting as it would shape the coming assembly. That's leadership newspapers this morning.
On to Daily Trust. It's also about politics, and it's got to do with this running mate conundrum. And so you see, running mate, I believe in politics of inclusion. Lalong. So there you go. Asiwaju can't win without a Muslim running mate, Kalu. All eyes on Buhari, Tinubu. PDP screens contenders today. So, but don't forget, the politicians also say that is their personal opinion. It's not gospel. It's their personal opinion. So the same way that they hold opinions, you can also hold opinion out there. It just depends on what you think and how you think it and how you put it across. So, yeah. In the meantime, how gas, fuel, bread prices raised inflation to 17.71% in May. These are the issues that should be addressed out there. These are the things that are of utmost importance. But you know, it remains to be seen how people will handle this kind of matters. If these issues are affecting Nigerians so much, you expect it to be the basis upon which they will go out there and select those who will occupy those political positions for the next 4 years, which will have huge impact on everyone's life or wherever you are. So if it's as important, then make it count. If not, it's up to you.
Speaking of which, if you haven't secured your voter registration card now, you can do that, make it count in the coming general elections. So from that, we'll go to the Daily Times newspapers, which chose a slightly different path this morning. Away from politics, the big story says, we're studying UK court judgment on OPL 245. That's coming from the federal government. And let's take a look at the riders. They say OK's 90.8 billion naira for Kashimbila Takum Chechengi Road Airport equipment, approves 109 e-learning centers for primary education. Well, for the studying UK court part of it, it appears the last has not been heard of it, particularly if we consider, the position of our guest yesterday who says there's room for appeal. Just one more story before we exit the Daily Times. Voters Registration House urges INEC to extend exercise by 60 days. Yeah. Well, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, I believe.
Sure. And I don't think we also have heard the last of airports, the new airport in Lagos that was commissioned. And so all of this fury about whether or not international airlines or other airlines should be using the place, they're fundamental problems. And it's the way some things happen sometimes, you just can't relate with some of them. But we need to keep our tabs on that as well, because there'll be some information as we proceed. All right, New Telegraph is next. Strike. ASU crisis complicated, says FG. Well, you'll wonder, I'm sure they didn't just think this today or yesterday, as it were. This has been on for years. They've been meeting with ASU for years. They know all the challenges for years. And it appears as though this problem may not be resolved in this administration, from the look of things. But even though that there were several comments as to what and how they were going to address this, but this is where we are. But look at some of the riders now. Approves 109 e-learning centers for primary schools at 964 million naira. FG studying 706.72 billion naira. London's Malibu oil proceeds ruling. We lost how many? 3 in a row. So if they appeal after studying it, what's the guarantee that, the results won't go previous
And that's
way?
If it's not double jeopardy already, because they've lost the case before this time, not just one.
Well, depending if they're starting all over again on the same matter. But if it's an appeal, then it may not necessarily apply. But look at this other rider. FEC OK's 90.8 billion naira for works, aviation ministries, projects, approves repeal of 60-year-old Fire Service Act. Almost sounds like a relic. A fire service. Yeah. Owa Massacre. Senate tasks security agencies to collaborate in tackling insecurity. Almost an never-ending call. Collaborate. I mean, the president has said that several times, how they need to work together to get results. Now, it's the turn of the Senate to task agencies to collaborate. And so
That age-long call for synergy amongst security operatives has always been there. And, you know, I recall we discussed this with the one of the governors of the Southwest lately, and the response was, look, well, that's not our call. The call is with the security agents to achieve synergy amongst themselves, you know, but it should be a concern, even if it's not within their purview, to make some form of synergy feasible amongst the security operatives.
Yeah.
Because the consequences, you know, stare everyone in the face when they're unable to work together.
Well, look at what's at the bottom strip. Electoral Act. Reps move to override Buhari's assent. Urge INEC to extend voter registration by 2 months. So they are trying to override the president's assent. So interesting or what? Who knows? It looks as though the reps... Okay, well, I guess we're going to focus on this as we progress. But look at this at the bottom strip. Optimism tied to long lifespan. Ascribed to study. So be optimistic. And you could possibly have a long lifespan. So that's a New Telegraph today.
And from New Telegraph, let's take a look at The Guardian. I believe we haven't visited The Guardian this morning.
We have.
Okay,
started with that.
Let's see. I believe that will be all. That means we've gone round all of the papers.
Okay, there you go. So that ends it then with a look at some of the dailies here today. We're back in a moment. Stay with us.
I make bold to say here that the legislature has once again suffered losses. The loss really is not for members who lost. It's a loss to democracy, to the institution, and to the country. If it means anything, I know and I am aware that many of our members did not lose their primaries because they were rejected by their constituents. No. Far from it. Many of our members lost because of the process which we foresaw in the House of Representatives. The delegate system, which unfortunately is not what a delegate system is supposed to be. Many of our members lost because they were not even given a fair shake or a fair shot. We have good legislators, both here in chambers and back home, who are probably not coming back because of this same process. When we fought for direct primaries in this house, we knew exactly what we were saying. And it is that fight and the kick and the pushback by many who knew or felt they knew what they wanted to do that has now become the bane of the institution of the legislature. It pains me very deeply that the process has gone the way it has gone, where willy-nilly people are changing names, not just delegates' names, but even some of our members who won are now being deprived of the fruit of their labor. We will continue to push. We'll continue to fight for our members. But it's not our members that we're fighting for. Let me make that very clear. We're fighting for democracy. We're fighting for the institution. And we're fighting for this country.
Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. Well, yes, we'll be talking about the build-up preparations for the general elections, and you heard the Speaker of the House of Representatives lamenting the outcome of some of the primaries. Well, we'll speak to that in a moment. Well, we've got two gentlemen joining us this morning to weigh on that subject matter and more. Mr. Mike Igini is here with us in our Lagos studios. He's the resident electoral commissioner for Akwa Ibom State. Good morning. Thank you for coming on today.
Good morning, Shambalin. It's my pleasure to meet you.
Well,
thank you.
We also have Honorable Leke Abejide, who is the chairman, House Committee on Customs and Excise. He's a member representing Yagba East. Yagba West, and Mapuro Federal Constituency for Kogi State. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on the program as well. Well,
good morning, Chamberlain. Good morning, Nigerians.
Honorable, listen to the speaker in that narrative, what he was talking about, what transpired in the states, how they didn't get a fair share, Electoral Act, direct primaries. But of course, you know that some of the immediate reaction would be from a lot of people is that, well, the lawmakers dug their own grave because the laws with which all of those were conducted emanated from the National Assembly. Isn't that right?
It is not right. It is not correct.
That you made the laws?
Chamberlain, if you...
What part is not correct?
Can you hear me?
What part is not correct? That the National Assembly made the laws?
Why I say it's not correct is that, you know, the Electoral Act that will pass in the first place only is for direct primaries. If you remember, I came to this same studio. I was invited when there was so much noise about the direct primary will be so expensive, and I raised a motion on the floor that we need to invite the annex national chairman to come and explain to Nigerians how much will it cost to hold direct primary for all parties. Because if you look at it, direct primary is the easiest way to go for every member of the political party to participate. But when you go to delegate election, it's controlled by those who have the party structure. And there is no how a credible candidate can emerge. That is how it is. So the best legislators are out of the chamber.
So what laws?
Pardon
me. What laws did the political parties rely on to conduct the primaries?
If you see, we have three options in that law. We have direct, indirect, and consensus. They rely only on indirect, only. All political parties rely only on indirect because that is the only one they can manipulate. So when it comes to direct, it becomes so difficult for them to manipulate. They rely only on indirect. They've forgotten about other options. And that is what we're fighting for.
Did the political parties violate that law that you speak about?
Well, it's already a law, and the options were not there before. But the president didn't sign and said unless we add the two options, that is indirect and consensus.
You seem to be answering your own questions.
The law because it's already in the law.
They didn't violate the law, and National Assembly made the law. So why the hue and cry?
In the first place, it was not the law we made. This one is like the executive arm of the government made this particular law because they were the one that persisted that we have to add these two options. In the first law that came out from the National Assembly, there was no indirect and there was no consensus. I can say direct election was our own law. But because the executives and party leaders wanted something different, they insisted that we have to add these two options, which we did. We already know it's going to work against the National Assembly.
In other words, you're saying the same thing. The National Assembly made the law. Whether you were twisted, your hands were tied, you made the law, you passed the law. And that is the law.
I agree with you. We made the law, we passed the law. But this is just a lesson to us. Next time, if it comes this way, there's no option than to veto the president. Because if you allow it to be going this way, I want to assure you, I said it here in this studio that all these youth that are moving around that they want to participate, they will never participate. Because when it is indirect, they will not have chance to come in. Number one, it's going to be more expensive. It's going to be a money-backed system. And you can see it. Even in the PDP primaries, today, people are still singing, people are buying vehicle, naming it delegate vehicle. Because where will you expect somebody, a fresh graduate, or a youth that is not employed or is just doing a menial job to get $20,000 or $25,000 to give a delegate? So this is what we were running for. And then now it has happened. It's affecting everybody. National Assembly members are not as rich as the executives. They have nothing to offer.
Well,
and that is why most of them are out.
Well, I don't know how many listeners will believe what you've just said now, but in the meantime, all of those political parties, you're almost...
They will believe I don't take allocation. I don't have any allocation I'm taking every month. Executive take allocation every month. They take in billions.
Well,
so where will I get the money?
You're paid in the National Assembly. You're not doing it pro bono. You have your allowances. You have your statutory allowances. You have your basic allowances. You have aids, several aids attached to you as a lawmaker, paid for by taxpayers. Isn't that correct?
I'm being paid. I can show you my pay. My salary is 697,000 naira as I speak to you.
Well,
then, if you talk of allowances, I don't take allowance. See, when I came into the National Assembly as a new member, if a new member comes, 2 years, he will still be learning the rope. In the 3rd year, by the time he said he wants to settle down, the new election cycle comes in. So he will not be able to even stabilize as a first-timer. And the allowances that's supposed to even come to me, I'm using it to do empowerment in my constituency. Well, I don't even have a dime from it.
Well, you said that you will
And that is what most members are doing. If you look at this 9th Assembly...
Just a minute.
Just wait. If you look at this 9th National Assembly...
Hang on a minute.
There has never been any assembly...
Just a minute, Honorable BJ. You say that you can show us your pay. Are you telling Nigerians now that you will deposit or show us your pay slip so we can corroborate what you have just told Nigerians now?
I can show you. I can show Nigerians.
When?
I can show what I'm getting. I always get my salary.
When will you show us?
Of the following month. I can show you. I have it.
Okay, let's see it.
I have my alert.
Oh. I thought you... Okay, well, if you want to show us that one, show us so that we can show Nigerians so it's not your word against theirs, or that kind of narrative. But at the moment now, we've got Mr. Mike again here. We'll take you up on that. We want to see that. You, the one who said you'll show us. So let us see it, and then we'll tell Nigerians as well. Well, in the meantime, there will be no next time, at least in the next 4 years, for those politicians who have lost. He says that next time when the law happens, they won't do any such thing. But, Mr. Guinea, this particular subject matter, we discussed this almost a year ago now. And it appeared as though now it fell on deaf ears because hundreds of them will not be coming back.
Well, Chamberlain, thank you very much. As you said, just a year ago, sometime in June last year, I adhered to the debate about which form of mode of primary should be adopted for this country. Mm-hmm. I was invited to your station for a conversation on this matter, and we provided technical information to guide the lawmakers and all stakeholders to pick a mode that will be better for the sustainability of our democracy. I was very clear, and I gave out statistics from 2003 to 2019, showing clearly the rate of attrition. And I made those technical information available because of the fact that democracy, in its classical traditional sense, is a fragile construct, extremely vulnerable. And that is why it has to be protected and guarded. And to guide democracy, and whether the institution or representative democracy will have a hopeful future in any country, it is predicated on the choices we make through party primaries. Now, that is the first gatekeeping exercise of the leadership recruitment process. Because the choices we are called upon voters to make on the day of election are choices already made by those who have influence and power. That is the theory of John Scupiter. And when the issue came up, I made the point very clear that there is no form or mode of system that is not vulnerable, that cannot be manipulated. But however, given the extremities of the various modes, that the decision of the National Assembly to go for direct primary will be the best, having regard to the fact that that process is the key. And I was very clear when they talked about consensus. I gave out the weaknesses, the advantages of each of them. And I said that the consensus as provided by the Constitution in the Electoral Act is dead on arrival. It cannot achieve anything.
So did it come across to you as though some members in the National Assembly did not even understand this law that they were signing or putting their signature to?
I don't know. But the point is that what we have before us are too much. Students of international institutions will tell you that what led to the collapse of the League of Nations, among other factors, was the principle of unanimity. Thinking that all those who fight the First World War, that they will agree together for the maintenance of international peace and security. But during the outbreak of the North-South Korea War, it was clear that you cannot achieve unanimity, everybody agreeing. And so when you have in the Electoral Act that you require the consent of all aspirants, that will never happen. It was dead on arrival. Because ab initio, there was even no consensus on the pillars of consensus.
But the National Assembly...
Now, on indirect primaries, which is favored by the political class, and unfortunately, for some act of self-abnegating action, statutory delegates had always been part of the process. Somehow, by virtue of the current provision, they excluded themselves from the process. And they could not impact the process, and left everything in the hands of governance. This is what we call an additional powers for 36 state governors that are exercising unwholesome power in the country at the moment. They determine who should be a councillor, who should be a local government chairman, who will be a commissioner, who will be a minister, even who will be their successor. You will now give that power to them. The result is what we are saying now. But we must take note. So when we talk about direct primary, which is the last one in the mix, direct primary approximates what you call through some level of direct democracy.
So what are the extremes of direct primaries that the parties were avoiding?
Yes. Now, with indirect, the deployment of resources, vote buying, which is nothing but a devaluation of the ballot, and with respect to primary process, is a tragedy, because the biggest spending for vote buying happens at the level of the primaries. In fact, at that level, we deal with foreign currencies. I know we are going to carry the stick when we want to deal with the poor people who are also going to do their own. But the point is that it's more easier to deal with that. But when you are dealing with direct primary, what are the issues? The issue is that you must have a register of your members. You know that under Section 9 of the Act, INEC, before the coming election, will make available to all political parties register of members. How do you explain that over 22 years of the practice of democracy, political parties do not have credible register of their members? Because with register of members, in line with Section 17(7) of the current 2022 Electoral Act, it has to be submitted to INEC. Because what used to happen when they talk about direct primaries before now was that laptops are given to party supporters to be registering members. Even before the day of election, people are receiving number. You don't know the total number. But in the 2019 election, we were able to give the register, which is the practice required by law, and we had 84,004,084. And that copy given to political party. So it will not change. You will be able to know where the votes are. But you don't have that with political parties. So the way we should go, and in any case, let's not be very clear. The train have left the station at the moment. All this matter we are talking about.
They say they want to re-amend.
Yeah, they want to re-amend.
No, the point is that it will serve for the purpose of the future.
Yeah.
For what has passed, it is concluded. Political primaries have been concluded.
So what do you suggest if they were to re-amend it for the future?
If they are meant for future, in my considered opinion, having studied across the globe, the behavior of political elites is that you should go for direct primaries. Because the idea that we should not tie political party to one option when we have a democracy with attenuated participation and control by the ordinary people, and the fact that democracy is a fragile construct, it needs to be protected and guarded. And the way we should go is to go for direct, as my proposal suggestion, because to tie up this point is that we have aristocracy, we have monarchy, we have democracy. Why are we not? We have military options.
Should we include
why are we not saying that we should leave all of these options and we embrace democracy? We embrace democracy because of its attributes.
Would it be a good thing if they include in the law, since INEC usually gives them lists of political party, the members in those parties, would it be out of place if they put it in the law saying, look, if you have to conduct direct primaries, it has to be with the authentic register of party members?
It's already there under Section 77. The point he made, which you and I underscored on June last year before they went on recess, in terms of the rate of attrition. Remember that when we came in 1999, the first set of legislators were sent outside the country. We spent so much money in training them. You know, people were taken out of the country.
No, but what I meant was that, is that we had party members here about that time, even much later. And this same question came across. And they said, well, look, we need help from INEC. That even that so-called list, there are big lacuna concerning that particular list, that they needed INEC to come in and help.
Good.
So all of that, they said, was not sufficient.
This is the way you go. By virtue of Section 19 of the current Electoral Act, INEC, we have to, not later than 90 days, make available a register of Nigerians for 2023 election. Now, before we do that, under that Section 19, we have 7 days to do what we call publication for objections and claims. So when political party members, they register, they are required to paste in the various wards for party members to check whether their names are there. It is after what we call the PVR, Preliminary Voter Review, that they cannot have a final register. But to underscore this point that has been made, which is what we made the other time, was that when you have experienced people in lawmaking, they are not returning back, was not on account of the fact that they have been subjected to the people at the constituency, but because a few people, delegates, we have to make that decision. And having regard to the investment that have been made, it is terrible. Because in 2003, out of the 100%, 70% did not return because of the failure. You see, all of this, you put it down to the doorstep of the lawmakers. In 2003, 70% did not return. Only 30% returned back. By 2007, it went up again, where we had the worst election in the country. 76% did not return. Only 24% returned back. By 2011, when we came aboard, to stem the tide of this level of attrition, to deal with internal party democracy, INEC, under the Jega leadership, we developed what we call a template. That template led to a reduction, in which case we had 68%. By 2019, it went up again to 69%. The highest return ever was only in 2019, when we had 56%, only 40% return. That is a danger, because we are now going to have new set of people. The point is that it is not that once you are in National Assembly, he must remain there forever. But the point is that you should be subjected to.
It's a good thing that you're referring to these years.
These are the data have shown. So it is because of the National Assembly. And one thing you must make clear here, even though all arms of government, there's only one to which all must bow, the judiciary. I want to say here that the National Assembly, the Parliament, is the most powerful arm of government in any democracy. In fact, literally speaking, beyond issue about public policy, National Assembly, the Parliament, can legislate out of existence the executive and judiciary to tell you how powerful the National Assembly or the Parliament is. But if you don't understand your power for the public good and all of that, I mean, you could see even in 2019, who would have thought that the process would drag on?
So it's a good thing. It's a good thing you're making reference to these years where more than half of the parliament did not return. So it would seem as if it's not Section 84(8) that is the problem here.
Absolutely, that is not the problem. And we're clear in that interview. We provided all the data to guide them. All right, we cannot say the other forms of government. I mean, Francis Fukuyama, when he made the point, the end of history and the last man, that perhaps we have tried other forms of government. It was clear that democracy appeared to be the end point of man's search for forms of government. So there are no system that is so inherently so good and so inherently so bad. But we need some level of civic virtues. Who are the kind of people in politics? You cannot have a democracy without having Democrats, those who have imbibed sensitive values and principles.
So if direct primaries is the best, approach to adopt in electing their candidates, is the cost breakneck? And if it is more legitimate, shouldn't Nigeria be considering toeing that path?
Because when you go for direct primary, it will discourage this buying of people. Because how many members are you going to spend money on? That is the way we should go. But in any case, I think we should focus even more on other three, because this matter is for 2023 and beyond. So that's after 2023.
We have some grounds to cover.
As for the past one, it is gone.
We have some grounds to cover. I mean, transmission of results, CVR, substitution of candidates. We'll come to that in a minute. But let's get back to Honorable Abejide to get more perspective from him. Well, Honorable, I think I haven't seen any alerts anyways. Still waiting. You said you were going to forward that alongside...
I have sent it to Senwo Kimbaloye. I don't have your number. I have forwarded it to Senwo Kimbaloye.
Senwo Kimbaloye is not on this show, Honorable Abejide. That's an escapist
but that is his... I have his number. Send your number to me. I will send it to you right now.
But you were called.
I'm a straightforward person, and I say the truth all the time.
Well, someone invited you. They reached out to you and did the checks to bring you onto the show. Send it to that number.
Okay, I'm going to send it to...
Send it to that number. I'm not going to read my number on air to you, Honorable. Send it.
I'm going to send it to Otaigbe now.
Go ahead, send it. I want to see the slip as well, so that I don't have to be the one answering Nigerians' questions. But about...
I will do it right now.
Well, yes, do go ahead, but you also respond to this question, if you can, while at it. Moving forward now, in terms of the conduct of the elections and how it turned out in political parties, we hear the National Assembly saying that they want to override the president or re-amend. So if you could just give us what the thinking is, what exactly is the National Assembly or the House seeking to correct here, if it's not too late already?
Of course, it's late because all primaries are concluded, but for the future, what we are trying to do is the omission of these statutory delegates that led to using of only ad hoc delegates. If you remember, we cut short of our break and we came back to correct that particular area, but till we finished the primaries, the president did not sign. And now we have learned our lessons. For us not to continue to fall into the same pit, we have to do the needful. This is just it. Now, you have heard it from my brother there, Magigini. He has said the correct thing as it is. And that was exactly what I said when I came here last year on this particular issue. And I was insisting that direct primary is the best way to go. See, if we embark on option A4, everybody will line up behind his candidate or the candidate of your choice. They will count you in the public. Everybody will see, yes, this is very transparent. But in this case of delegate election, for the highest bidder. If you don't have money, just get out of it. Because even though if you have money and your money is not enough, in the just concluded election, somebody called me that there is a delegate sharing $2,000, another was sharing $20,000. He collected that of $2,000 and went for the $20,000 own and voted for that one. He collected the two. So these are the kind of thing we were trying to run away from. And you have heard it from the honest part there seated, that it's not possible for you to give such humongous amount of money to all the members of the political party. It's never possible. So the best, if you look at 1993 election that we are now adjudging to be the best election, it was option A4. Why don't you go back to it? And that is the direct primary we are talking about. That is how it works.
Honorable Abejide, I want you to refer to the data given by Mr. Egini about how previous assemblies, most of the lawmakers did not return. So the problem really is not about the delegate system, which is the innovation in this new Electoral Act as amended. So really, that's not the problem. I'd like you to respond to that.
The problem is about the delegate system. We know right from time, it is the same indirect primary we have been holding.
But in past assemblies, the innovation was not in the Act. In past assemblies, this innovation was not in the Electoral Act.
It has been there. Indirect primary has been there right from time.
The new delegate system was not there.
Even the direct that was not there.
The new delegate system was not there.
It is this new delegate you are talking about is also indirect. Yes. It is also indirect that we are talking about. The delegate, always there, right from time, there's always been ad hoc. Ad hoc delegate has been there right from time. It's the same indirect primary. There's no difference. The only difference now is that the statutory did not vote. That's just the difference. The indirect has been there right from time immemorial.
So what about the attrition between...
This is the first time statutory did not vote.
What about the attrition between National Assembly members and their governors, which is also part of the problem now?
Come again?
The attrition, the differences between governors and the National Assembly members, which is also part of the problem, and which is why some key members of the Senate are not returning and have defected to other political parties.
If you remember very well, that is the issue. If a governor does not like your face, I remember in my state, the governor just look at, including the first-timers, and tell them and say, you are not going back. You are not going back. You go back. This is the person you want to use. You see, it's always good to have a legislator to be a governor, because you will know the importance of leaving your legislator to stay longer. The constituency will benefit. The more he stays, the better for the constituency, and the better for Nigeria, because he will have experience and have knowledge to be able to make laws that will be better for the country. But if you are bringing a new set of people, like me, I'm a new person, I stay 2 years, despite that I'm a fast learner, for me to be able to learn the rope. And in the third year that we are entering, it's showing that I will not be able to do much, because the new election cycle has come in. I have to start struggling to participate. So when will I learn if I don't come back? When will I be able to know the job very well if I'm not a ranking member? That is why you see most members, if you look at National Assembly, most new members, some have not even said a word, because they are still learning up to this time. So it takes time for you to learn the rope. And if you keep on bringing new people, that is, we are going to continue to have bad laws in this country. So we should try to avoid this.
Yeah, Honorable. By the way, when we receive that alert, do we have your permission to put it on the screen for Nigerians to see that you truly sent it?
Please put it. Let Nigerians see it.
Okay, we'll
I
do
don't
that.
have anything in my constituency. Everybody knows me.
Okay. All right. So we'll do that.
I don't hide. I don't lie.
We'll do that in the course of the program so they can see and
they
ask
call
you
me
questions.
talk and do.
So, all right, well, we'll do that. So speaking about new people, let me bring it to Mr. Guinea here. When he says new people, they won't have chance to learn the ropes. But there's also a clause in the Electoral Act about the process that is going on now, wherein after the names of candidates have been submitted, parties can substitute. There seems to be, I'm not sure if it's all clear, because some people may just think that, you know what, now that we have this time and consultation is going on, after we submit this thing, we can quickly just go ahead and change. We've seen the President of the Senate, we've seen different things, all inkling to what's that narrative. What is the position on this matter?
Well, thank you very much. First and foremost, in any permissive society where there are total disregard for rules and regulations, such a society is not a viable one. Democracy cannot be sustained without the rule of law. The rule of law is a graceful ornament to an ordered society. And that is why my first admonition this morning, as part of our responsibility under Part 1, Section 2 of the Electoral Act, that we must educate Nigerians on civic knowledge, on democratic processes, because the greatest promise of democracy is information empowerment. All political parties should go and engage the services of lawyers to study scrupulously the 2022 Electoral Act to avoid problems, to avoid avoidable problems that will be fatal to their participation and their victory in the next election. And so, with respect to primaries, substitution, please take this off your head, anybody. It was in 2002 Electoral Act and 2006 Electoral Act that under Section 23 of the 2002 Electoral Act that you have a provision talking about changing of candidate. That if a party intends to change his candidate, he shall signify to the Electoral Commission. We saw what happened in 2003. People who emerged from primaries, overnight several of them were substituted. In fact, what is going on is that even when you have emerged in primaries, it's not yet over. You still have to spend money for leaders of political party to keep your name. You see, until the names are submitted to INEC, you are yet to hear the last of what is going on. So but that is where the law has to come in. That one of the greatest things that has happened, subject to full implementation, is the 2022 Act.
Yeah, but
because it has secured that, in the sense that, whereas what you contain Section 23 of 2002 Electoral Act, what is contained in Section 33 of the 2006 Electoral Act, the law has changed. Under Section 33 of the current Act, political party shall not change a candidate that has emerged from that process. Only on the ground of, under Section 31, we call voluntary withdrawal. Voluntary withdrawal. Under the 2006 Electoral Act, it was withdrawal. Then what happened?
So Section 31.
31.
31.1.
Yes.
Every political party shall, not later than 60 days before the date appointed for a general election under the provisions of this Act, submit to the Commission in the prescribed forms the list of the candidates the party proposes to sponsor at the elections, provided that the Commission shall not reject or disqualify candidates for any reason whatsoever.
You are still reading the old Electoral Act. That is the confusion they have in the country right
this
now.
Is what many of them are relying on.
That has been repealed.
So
it has been repealed.
A lot of them now are defecting because they've lost the election. They've gone to other political parties, or they have fielded pseudo candidates with the intention of substituting. Are they relying on the withdrawal part that you quoted now?
Great. Please let us get it right. The 2010 Electoral Act as amended have been effectively repealed. All references that can be made is to throw light on the current state of the law. So the references I made were to throw light. And the section you read,
section 31,
yes,
right?
was an old law. Under the current regime, Section 31 of the 2022 Act is clear that a nominated candidate who wishes to withdraw will do so in writing and shall deliver same to the political party that will forward same to INEC. And went further to say that no political party shall change a candidate except by withdrawal, which is going to be voluntary, and by virtue of Section 34, which is by incident or death. Yeah. And that's why I'm warning.
So that's what they're relying on.
Don't go and kill people because you want to be on the ballot. That's not what the law is saying.
Okay.
Death can occur. It is inevitable. It could occur either just before, after the delivery of nomination of
but there is voluntary withdrawal.
Yes, voluntary withdrawal. So when there's a voluntary withdrawal, you still have to go back again because you intend to present a candidate. You now go back to Section 84, subsection 1, which says that any political party that intend to present a candidate shall conduct primary.
All right.
That shall be monitored by the Independent National Electoral Commission. And by virtue of Section 84, subsection 13, is to the effect that any political
there's
party,
a need for the repeat of that
political
process.
party that fails to do so,
all right, we need to go to break.
Shall have his candidate
all right,
not accepted.
We have to read that 31 so people can know that, well, that clause refers to the old one if they are still relying on that one. So that is not the new one. That was the point intended in reading that one. But we'll look at some other sections of the new act and see what happens, whether or not any of these clauses can cure what Honorable Abejide referred to as his governor saying, you will go back, you cannot go back. We'll speak to those issues and more when we return in a moment. Don't go away.
Nigeria is the most populous country in Africa, with one of the largest populations of youth in the world. The untapped potentials of this vibrant youth population are enormous, particularly as drivers of economic development and advocates for good governance. This is perhaps the reason why the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, and Yiaga Africa are collaborating to sensitize and mobilize young people to register, get their permanent voters card and vote in the 2023 general elections.
If 60% of young people vote in the 2023 elections, I guess Nigeria will be a better place for all. We will get the leaders that we deserve, and it will also say a lot about our democracy. And what does 60% mean? 60% means about 29 million young people from across different parts of the country coming out to vote in the next elections.
The country representative of UNDP and program director Yiaga harps on the importance of having more Nigerian women contest for elective positions.
I think there's a recognition, even of all the leaders I've engaged in Nigeria, that more needs to be done on political parties, but also on women's representation. This is extremely important. No country will ever prosper. Nigeria will never reach its potential if half of its population are not in the decision making. It's not only about voting. It's about women being in parliament, women being in government, women being in captains of industry, and etc. So from a UN side and UNDP specifically, the issue of women's political participation and economic participation is the critical ingredient for Nigeria to meet sustainable development goals.
Also want a lot of women to not just register, but to vote and begin to determine the outcome of the elections. So 60% of us is about young men, is about young women, is about young persons with disability. It's as inclusive as it gets. And there's a special project dedicated to just targeting women.
IAGA and UNDP are anticipating that this program will effectively galvanize young people to participate in the electoral process and choose leaders committed to delivering good governance.
All right, welcome back to Sunrise. We'll come to those other sections, as it were. But Honorable has made good his word. Honorable Abejide has sent the alert, which he spoke about. So if we can, let's go ahead and that is the alert Honorable Abejide sends to us about his May salary. So, Honorable, we had to remove the balance. We don't want any of those kidnappers trying to be funny now. So the balance is off.
Leave the balance there. Let everything be open. It's 700,000.
But Honorable Abejide, the real deal is in your allowances, not necessarily your
Where's the basics,
salary.
your travel allowance?
Yes.
What about those ones? How do we see those ones?
Which, according to reports, is in the realm of about 9 million.
Okay.
9 million naira, if I'm correct.
No.
How many millions?
No. You see, can I talk?
Go ahead.
Okay. The allowance you are talking about, I just told you that, as a new member, when I came in order to satisfy my constituency, I have used my allowance. Number one, I have police, I have staff, personal staff. Then people in the constituency are also there waiting for me. So in a month, I don't think I even have up to 1.5 million. That's to me. And I have family to take care of. So if you are coming to this system, there was a time I was contemplating of leaving. If you are coming to this system and you are somebody who has been working on your own, you have been doing business, you will not like to continue. Because you will see the demand that is coming from your constituency in a month is in the range of 30 million, 40 million every day. I mean, every month. Somebody who children want to go to school, somebody who wants to go to hospital, somebody who wants to do marriage, somebody who wants to, do other things. It is only you they will be focusing on because they can't get the governor. You are the closest person to them. And if you don't do for them, then you have not done anything. So that is the danger in this assembly. That's why I even said it in my constituency. I was telling people that in the next election, I'm not going to contest, that they should allow somebody to come so that let the person also come and experience what I'm experiencing. But it's just because even before I came to government, I have been doing a lot for people. I have been paying wife fees for all my people. So people insisted that I must go. If you are not a man of means and you come to this seat, in 1 year, people will be stoning you. I know most of our members who voluntarily did not even participate because of what they experienced in this first period. It's not palatable at all. And I have just given you my salary. That is what I get every month. So I'm not even at the end of the month, on the 6th of the next month.
Okay, let me look at that again.
Month.
So what we see here is 697,911.67 kobo, and the balance is 799,293.57 kobo. So is this the totality of everything you get in a month?
That is it. That is what I get. Let me give you one scenario.
Go ahead.
In 8th Assembly. Can I go ahead?
Sure.
In 8th Assembly, there was one of our colleagues that came from Adamawa State. He was working in an oil company. So what he was told that National Assembly is being paid, especially House of Oil, they are being paid 35 million monthly. And his take home was 15 million. He left the job and came. When he came the first month, I saw this meager amount. The second month, he saw the second meager amount. The third month, he now went to somebody who's ranking in his constituency, in his state, and asked him, said, this is what I've been receiving for the past 3 months. And the man said, that's what you will receive till you leave this place. And he said, what? The guy resigned and left and went back to his job. So it is, people that are outside talking about National Assembly movement, some of them are with us now. They are regretting it. They have seen it. So if it is possible, most of these people talking of humongous amount, we will have even allowed them to come. You see, the only difference you see is the constituency project. Like me, my constituency project in my state is 113 million in a year. And in this 113 million, government will take 18.5%. Let me break it down for you. There is tax, 5%. There is VAT, 7.5%. Stamp duty, 1%. Then the agency where the project is domiciled will take 5%. That's the minimum. Some take more than that. So what remains? If not for this government of Buhari that is releasing 100%, what will you take home to go and work at home? It is because this government now is doing well. It's releasing our capital 100%. That is why we are able to perform at home. If not, it would have been so disastrous for us.
Well, Honorable Abejide, not to belabor the point, but granted that you have said that you spend your allowance on your constituents, by empowering them and all of that, but you didn't quite give us the exact figure of that allowance.
I cannot give you because what I'm getting, if you want me to forward to you now, I will look at it and also forward to you. You will see the balance it remains at every month. I will forward it to you. You will see what I'm getting in a month and what it remains to come to me after all deductions.
Okay, so at the moment, we don't have all the figures right now with this alert that you sent to us. This is not all there is to it. Okay, so that people will know. Maybe if he sends us the slip, we can see the allowances, the breakdown, transports, hazard allowances, maybe all of those. Then you will not
see what is remaining for me as a legislator to run.
Okay, so when we get that, we can we'll take it from there. But moving forward, Mr. Guinea, now we want credible elections. He said scenarios as to where his governor will just wake up and say, if it doesn't like your face, you're not going back, you're not going back. That's not a democracy. At the moment, with the way things are, people want credible elections such that the results will be transparent. I know INEC has spoken a lot about some of these, but there's still some questions about it. What should we expect in terms of the transparency and credibility of the results a la transmission?
Well, thank you very much. Elections are the principal instruments that compels public elected officials to pay attention to citizens. And that is why participation with the kind of renewed interest that we begin to see in terms of people wanting to register is quite interesting and exciting, having regard to the level of apathy we've had over time. So registration is one thing, coming out to vote is another thing. Now, voting in terms of the result which we're talking about, if votes do not count, then of course election becomes a mere ritual without actually voting. And so manipulation of all kinds is totally unacceptable. All the innovations that INEC has been putting in place, it will address historical challenges of election service delivery. Currently, if you look at the provision of Section 49 of the previous Repeal Act, these references are intended to pay attention to the current regime so that people should purge themselves of some of those things they do before, so that we don't have bad days gone, now we have new bad days. Under Section 49, subsection 1 and 2, it simply says, of the old act, now repealed by Section 47, it simply says that a voter wishing to vote, once he appears before the presiding officer, if the presiding officer is satisfied on the line that is the person, he will be allowed to vote and all that. That was the provision that had been used for buying of PVC, breaking into INEC offices, Because all you need to do, connive with the presiding officer, all right, and people around there warehouse PVCs. So when you warehouse PVC on election day, if I deny people their PVC on election day, all right, all you need to do, give to all of them, the presiding officer, all you need to be just to be satisfied. And we'll be calling for a repeal of Section 49 over time. Now, Section 47 has come into place. And what has it got to do here? It is that it has strengthened our operational independence. That a voter now, unlike the previous regime under the law, is that when you come before the presiding officer, you will be verified, will be authenticated using now our beavers. And we are now doing biomodal accreditation. If your fingers could not be confirmed, what about your face? And that's why it is biomodal accreditation. Once that is done, because election is a generic process that must have constitutive elements of accreditation. Once that is done, the implication of what we are doing right now is that we can produce a new register on election day. A new register is born because of the fact that once you come before the beavers, it's going to bring you out clearly. Now, once that is done, the next question is, which is the transfer.
Yeah.
Section 60 is very clear. It uses the word transfer. And you recall some time ago, I made a demonstration to show to you that all the fears about hacking and all of that, and I used my fingers, 5 fingers, that this is the polling unit, this is the work collation center, this is the local government, this is the state at all levels of collation. And I said, the notion out there when they talk about hacking is that they are looking at, imagine an electronic process of something transmitting in that process in an unbroken manner from one state to another, in which case, in between, there could be some form of introduction of foreign data. And I said, no. What we are doing now, using the beavers, is that when the polls shall have ended, and that the presiding officer, in the presence of party agent, have signed the result, have countersigned by the agent from EC60E, has been pasted at the polling unit, which you call the people from EC8A. Yeah. What you are required to do is to upload into the cloud. Remember, at the inception of GSM, when you lost your handset, I can't get in touch with you because I don't have your telephone number again. That is gone once you sign into the cloud. So what we actually do is to upload into the cloud. Once you upload into the cloud, nobody's in the original content, because once we are done with, you snap, the beavers will be used to snap the original result. And that's why today, as I sit down here, if I want to access the original result from EC8A of all the polling units in Edo State, in Ondo State, in Anambra State, you can have all of them. And that was why in some of those elections, we upgraded the portal to accommodate up to 2 million people.
Let's wind down with this now.
You can have access.
As you wind down,
so
just
the integrity of that process, with respect to
of
the innovation, is to provide what you call electoral accountability.
Just a quick one.
The burden of proof on how well election is conducted.
Quick one before we bring in.
Must be on the commission.
Before we bring in,
that's why we are bringing innovation. We want to account
to wrap
for what
up
we
the
do
point
in the whole process.
Just one more thing before we bring in Honorable Abejide to wrap up. As we wind down now, as quick as you can. Overnight collation of results used to be where they had a case, where my politicians manipulate the whole system. What is done to counter that?
That's what we just explained. We are doing, at the moment, we are doing biomodal accreditation. We are also doing what they call dual collation of results.
So does it mean there will be no overnight collation of results?
Absolutely, because
my concern really
election can dovetail into the night.
Is it hack-proof?
Absolutely. All the places we have conducted the election, they are attempts, but there is sufficient firewall. But the point
that's highly debatable.
Is that this is very important. The work collation officer does not have to talk to the presiding officer because he has access to it. So woe betide a presiding officer coming with a hard copy. Mind you, both electronic and a hard copy, so that we can audit what
let's wind down.
With that, Nigerians, given that all of us working together to ensure that everybody works together,
All right.
everything will be well. And
Honorable.
that, the last point you must have to make on that is that if you look at this, the success of any election anywhere in the world, it does not rest only on the commission. Because if you look at the pyramid here, headquarters is the top, state is the state level, materials will be taken down here, they will go to the local government. As from the position of SPO, except now that we are changing to make sure that our staff are the one in charge, from the presiding officer down to the last one, it's actually Nigerians that are involved in the process. So the success of an election is a reflection of our collective value as a people, and its failure is also a reflection of our collective value.
Just one more thing from you. From what you heard and what you know about the process, do you think that this will cure the ill where you say your governor can come in and say you will not return? Will this in any way help that process?
Of course, yes. I believe what INEC is doing is going to change the narratives. People that are popular with the people will win the election. And I have said it, go and write it down. In the 10th Assembly, you will see a lot of small parties having representatives, even more than the major parties. Because a situation whereby you do selection and you throw away your popular candidate, and the popular candidate happen to go to a smaller party, he's going to win. Because of this new system that INEC is bringing, we hope that it's going to work the way they have described to us. Once it works that way, and it's one man, one vote, definitely it will reduce all this imposition in the nearest future.
All right.
Because you see that somebody you throw out has won you, then you have no option next time to do the right thing.
All right, Honorable Leke Abejide, Chairman, House Committee on Customs and Excise, we thank you for coming on today. We've also had Mr. Mike Igini, Resident Electoral Commissioner for Akwa Ibom. So thank you for your time as well. We will be back in a moment. Stay with us.
Federal Civil Service pensioners from the Lagos branch have staged a peaceful protest outside the gate of the High Court sitting at the Tafawa Balewa Square on Lagos Island. Carrying different placards bearing their demands, the civil servants demanded the payment of the outstanding arrears on their pension. They accused the Executive Secretary of the Pension Transitional Arrangements Directorate, PTAD, Dr. Chioma Ejikeme, of holding on to the payment and invited the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, to beam its searchlight into the affairs of her directorate. They also asked the president to intervene and make the leadership of the country account for the money it has collected.
Welcome back. Well, that is next here on Sunrise Daily. As you've seen, we've got Comrade Abiodun Michael. He is the State Secretary, Nigerian Union of Pensioners, Federal Civil Service Pensioners Chapter, Lagos. Good morning. Thank you for coming on today.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
We also have Dr. Chioma Ejikeme, who is Executive Secretary, Pension Transitional Arrangement Directorate, PTAD, who joins us from our studios in Abuja. Good morning, madam. Thank you for coming on as well today.
Good morning.
All right. Let's start from here in Lagos. Comrade, what is the crux of this matter?
There are several. Let me pick it from the very one that prompted the protest. By April, January, February, March, that's the first quarter. By April, Dr. Ejikeme said the batch, the very last batch of the 3 months that was supposed to be paid to federal pensioners, whereas every other structure had been given since last year, November. Despite our appeals to PTAD to at least pay the remaining 3 months, She does not even bother. And we kept cool, asking our brother body at Abuja to follow suit and appeal to Madam. Yet nothing happened. So on the 7th...
When you say appeal, what specifically was done?
Appeal, nothing was done.
How was this appeal done?
That is, meeting her in person in her office.
Who met her?
The chairman, my chairman, if I'm permitted to make mention name, yes.
Okay.
The national chairman of my
Lagos
body.
chapter.
No, in
national
Abuja,
chairman.
The national
met
chairman.
with Peter, the executive
exactly.
secretary. When was this?
That was in April.
Okay.
So she said the money will be paid. And to live back to what she said, she even went as far as putting the same statement on our official website, where I used to monitor very well, that the money very soon will be paid. We waited to the month ended. The following month, I said, what's happening? And we now asked our national body.
So April ended?
Yes, April ended. Up to the month of, I think towards the end of April, we now got fact of the fact that Madam had gotten cash backing to now pay the money. And from what we were felt, that the money within 2-3 days, immediately, once the cash backing had been given, nothing remains again. It's just for something to be paid. She on her own too said within 2 days, the cash backing was given on Monday. So 2 days after, that means by Wednesday, we should be expecting money to start hitting the accounts, the people's, what have you. Nothing happened. What is happening? And Lagos being the hub of these federal pensioners, we have about 65-70% of, especially the federal civil servants that retired, they are resident there in Lagos.
What reason was given?
We didn't hear anything. We didn't hear anything.
Did the chairman call to follow up?
No. In fact, he said he's been going there and nobody even bothers to even give him any reason for something not being paid.
So have you all been cleared and verified?
Reason why I came with this.
And cumulatively, how many months are you being owed?
Accumulatively, it was 24 months. Accumulatively, it was 24 months. And the federal government paid Petard en bloc.
Okay, sorry. What is it that you came with?
Yes, this is a peculiar case among several.
In terms of what? Those who have been verified?
Verified.
Been paid?
This one, in fact, this might even go as far as the EFCC to investigate this.
What is that?
Yes, there's a particular person. Though it's not only him that is having this matter. But fortunately, as at yesterday, when I was informed that I need to be here this morning, I was trying to treat this.
Yeah, so what is that?
One of our members, one Mr. Ophili John, was said to have been paid. I want to tell you the unwholesomeness of what is happening in Petard. The EFC has to beam their satellite.
What is the wholesomeness?
Yes, I'm coming up. This person was said to have been paid his total package, 2 million something. I don't want to mention. So, could you believe it that there was nothing like that was paid to this person?
And the person has been verified?
See, I have all the documents, originals. Here, I vetted the man's statement of action. These are the originals.
What is the title of this document that you're showing us now?
This is the one that was sent to the man that he has been paid.
Could you pass it around?
What verification documents is that you're showing us?
You mean this?
Yes.
These are the one to make fact of the man being a true federal pensioners.
Okay, let's get to Dr. Ejikeme. Well, Doctor, you heard what he said about meeting you. Verified pensioners have not been paid, contrary to your explanation. He's monitored the website. What's your opinion about it?
Thank you very much, Chamberlain, and good morning, Nigerians. Let me start by saying that Petard is not owing monthly pensions. Petard has not been owing monthly pensions. And by the special grace of God, Petard will not owe monthly pensions. The 3 months that the Secretary of the Federal Civil Service Pensioners in Lagos is talking about is the 3 months arrears of the consequential adjustment to pensions as a result of the increase in minimum wage of April 2019. If you all recall, I had to come to the Channels TV to explain why that particular consequential adjustment had not been applied. I think that was in the year 2021. But a few weeks or so after that encounter, we got the approval from Mr. President to go ahead and apply the consequential adjustment. And let me start by saying that this particular pension increment has been adjudged the most impactful and the most equitable in the history of pension increments in Nigeria. And the majority of the Nigerian pensioners under the Pension Transitional Arrangement Directorate are not only very grateful, but very happy, and they have actually showed their appreciation to Mr. President for this particular pension increment. Now, like I had explained in 2021.
Just before you move on, Dr. Jikeme, he says that the national chairman met you sometime in April. Now, if you say it was just the consequential payments that need to be done, not the main salaries payment themselves, what did he meet you about?
Yes. I can't recall that the national chairman met me, but I'm on the phone with them all the time. My line is open. I pick all calls from pensioners. So I communicate with them, and I tell them what the situation is. What happened was that the pension increment, PTAD made projections in terms of the budget, because as at the time the increment came on, we had no idea as to which way it was going to go. But in the wisdom of PTAD, in the budget of 2020, we made provision for this pension increment. We also made provision for it in the 2021 budget. And it was in the 2021 budget that it was finally approved. And when it was approved, immediately we implemented, immediately we started paying. And by December of 2021, we had completed payment of the 24 months arrears in all the operational departments, apart from the Civil Service Pension Department. And why was this so? The Civil Service Pension Department is where the most impact was made. The wage bill of the Civil Service Pension Department increased by 900 million monthly as a result of this consequential adjustment.
Dr. Jikeme, just a minute.
So
just a minute. He says that there are persons of which document he has that they claim, PTAD claims they've been paid, but contrary to that claim, they have not been paid. And he's got some documents to show for that.
Yeah, kindly let me explain where he's coming from so that you understand the situation better. I want to give you the historical perspective for the 3 months consequential adjustment. So last year, I told them that the balance, by the special grace of God, before the end of the first quarter, that we would be able to pay. And our being able to pay is subject to approval and release by the Ministry of Finance and the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation. In January of 2022, we applied for the release of these funds, and it was going through an administrative process. It wasn't until the end of May 2022, which is a few weeks, about a week or so ago, that we got the release. And when we get a release, we have to be cash backed. Let me explain here that the Pension Transitional Arrangement Directorate has no account in any commercial bank. The account is domiciled with the TSA in the Central Bank of Nigeria. So what we do is a virtual payment that we do. So on our own part, when we see the releases and we've seen that it's been cash backed, We make the payment, we initialize, we approve, we finalize. And when it finalizes, it now leaves our domain and gets into the domain of the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation on the GIFMIS platform. That is the payment platform that government uses. And when it gets onto this platform, from there, it now gets to the Central Bank of Nigeria, and from there to the pensioners' commercial bank accounts. Now, there are a few places where you can have a glitch. By the time we pay, there could be a glitch between the point of upload between us and the accountant, the GIFMIS platform. There could be a glitch between the GIFMIS platform and the CBN. There could be a glitch between the CBN and the commercial banks, and sometimes a glitch between the commercial banks and the account of the pensioner.
Bottom line.
We have no, we've tried, to explain to these pensioners what this payment process is.
We'll get him to respond in a minute.
Now, he's talking about a payment of 2 million.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, madam, just hold on so that he will pick up on that, then you'll respond as well, because just try and manage the time. Go ahead, please.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
Madam Ejikeme, this emanates from your office. This is our member.
Could you read it so that she can hear it?
If you want it. In fact, she signs it as
I can't see the document that you're showing.
He's going to read it.
I will read it out. I will read it out.
Okay.
It says, non-payment of monthly pension omission from payroll. I am directed to acknowledge the receipt of your letter on the above subject matter and to inform you that your current monthly pension of 26,457 naira 51 kobo is your correct monthly pension, having applied the recent consequential pension increment of April 2019. Excuse me here. No single kobo, because what we know is that the system is garbage in, garbage out. Whatever you put in, that's what you get. I have equally worked in the bank. I worked in 3 commercial banks. When you do not put money into that bank, you don't get anything. But here, you claim you gave this person money. Something does not reflect. And I have fact of it. Veritable.
You say that you're being owed 24 months.
Yes,
but Madam Ejikeme is saying that
had been cleared. Not until when we...
She needs to respond to this.
Yes, that was when we now protested. It was that very Tuesday that I called out our members. That was when the 3 months got paid.
Can she respond to what you just said?
No, there's another one.
Okay, go ahead.
Aside the monthly.
Go ahead, so she can
since
respond.
2019, May 2019, up to this very moment, the man is lying critically ill. The wife even died about 2 months ago. Reason why I took it up myself, that I have to fight this to the end. Okay. In fact, on this, I wouldn't mind to go as far as meeting with the EFCC. There's happenings in Petard.
Dr. Jigame,
$2 million plus. The man does not have a single dime.
Just hold on.
Where was the money? Where does the money go?
Just as he responds, I'd like to, Mrs. Ejikeme, to clarify that what you're saying now is that all you're owing is a 3 months consequential arrears. Is that what you're saying? While you also respond to that.
You're asking if we're owing?
While you're responding to what Mr. Abiodun has raised now, please clarify that what you're owing is just the 3 months consequential arrears that you talked about earlier. Is that all that is being owed the pensioners?
Petard is not even owing the 3 months consequential arrears. As a matter of fact, we got the approval at the end of May, and we finalized the payment before the end of May. But for some reason, there was a glitch. In fact, when we had that glitch and pensioners were calling me and we were trying to resolve the matter, I recall jokingly telling them at the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation, I said to them, please, you people should do something. Help us to release this money before pensioners use me for suya. That was the joke I used to crack. And we pushed them. But there was a glitch, which had nothing to do with the Pension Transitional Arrangement Directorate. We have an automated computation. You know, we use a computation software to compute pensions. And pensions are computed using certain parameters. Your years of service, how many years you spent in the service, the salary structure at the time, your grade level and the step. You know, all those things are just fed into the system.
Okay.
And boom.
All right,
what your
madam.
pension is will come out. And it was done to avoid the manual interference.
All right, let's get him
in pension computation.
Okay,
so but
just
we
hang on,
continue to try to explain this to our pensioners, but they think we're still, you know, at the old order. Now, this particular case he's talking about is a solitary case. I am sure, you know, in fact, as a matter of fact, if you go and look into that case now, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what that case is. It's a solitary case. But I'm sure if you go and look into that case now, by the time you finish the computation, you will even find out that the pensioner is even on overpayment. Recently, last week, I had to call the Federal Civil Service pensioners to my office because before we take any major decision concerning the pensioners, we have to call them. They are our stakeholders, the pension unions. We call them and we let them know, you know, what the situation is and what we intend to do.
All right, Dr. Chikeme, just a minute. We're trying to take it on a case-by-case basis such that we'll see how much of those issues that we can throw. But you say this is solitary. Well, comrade, is that right?
It's never solitary. We have several
of your members.
Yeah. In fact, the very one she said she paid, the very last 3 months she paid, there are several of our members that are not even received. Even the previous one.
What idea of figures? How many? You have an idea?
Look, we have over 18,000 members.
18,000?
18,000 members in Lagos. I'm talking about our card-carrying members, only in Lagos alone. In Lagos alone.
Verified members?
Card-carrying members of in my own office. We have, and among these, we have at least several of them that have come to my office to tell me that, look, the 3 months up till now have not, even the very one she said she claimed she had paid. There are issues on that one. Yeah, the previous one as well, there are issues.
And that's where I'm headed now. They said there are serious discrepancies in these 3 months that were paid to the extent that you guys discovered that some people were even owed up to 9 months.
Exactly.
Is that true?
Very true.
Please explain.
There's a particular, in fact, let me cite an example of a particular lady. Why I picked her is because she's one of the executive. I don't want to mention her name. The last 9 months, that was the second batch she paid. As I'm talking now, the 9 months had not been given to her. They skipped that, paid 3 months. Meanwhile, the one she ought to have received, the 9 months, that one developed wings. Gone. The last 3 months, she had not even received. Meaning that she was only paid the first 9 months. The second 9 months, she was not paid. The third one, because she splitted the whole thing in piecemeal. She splitted in piecemeal, something that was given to her en bloc.
How many of you captured like that have this particular experience?
Jesus Christ. In fact, I think I want to come back here. To come and, look, we need to split. Let us put this in the normal. Let the entire world get to know what Madam Ejikeme had made of the civil servant. Senior citizen for that matter, I don't know. It's like it's a crime for a federal civil servant to even work there and retire.
Okay, hold on.
She's killing my members in droves.
Well, Dr. Chikeme, 18,000, I mean, you said solitary, but 18,000, is that a glitch as well?
Glitch, every now and then, glitch.
I really find what he's saying, I can't even believe it. I can't believe it. But like I tell them at Petard every day, the voice of one unsatisfied pensioner is louder than the voices of the 220-something thousand pensioners that we cater for. So we take it very seriously. We take complaint resolution very seriously. As a matter of fact, the minute we finalize payments, like I tell you, the rest is from the GIFMIS platform and to the banks and on that level. Sometimes payments fail on the GIFMIS platform. And when that happens, there's no way we get to know until the pensioners complain. It's just like this 3 months is talking about. If the pensioners had not complained, as far as we were concerned, before the 31st of May, we had paid. We had uploaded and finalized the payment. And it went off to the GIFMIS platform.
But Dr. Chikeme,
what he's saying, I don't want to say he's being very uneconomical with the truth, but I wish the majority of Nigerian pensioners who are civil service pensioners or even in all the operational departments could come out and bear me witness and bear us witness.
When you say, just hang on.
It really is unfortunate.
Just a minute. When you say that there is no way that you can know that someone's not been paid. And here he says about 18,000. So how can Peter not know that you don't get the feedback unless pensioners protest that they've not been paid? Isn't that a fundamental flaw?
You see, no, we would send for reports from GIFMIS. And sometimes it takes about a week, sometimes more, for us to get the reports of the payments that have been made. So we have that lag in communication as to whether the payments we made failed or not. And when we have such a situation, when the pensioner complains, we ask them to send us their statement of account so that we can really confirm that that payment didn't drop. Because
how many payments? How many failures do you have now?
A payment is said to have failed. Some of you who do internet banking would know that when a payment, sometimes you can make a transfer and it says it failed, but at the end of the day, the payment will go through.
So, Dr.
So this is the situation that we have.
Can you give us an idea?
Such situation and they bring in their complaints.
How many has failed at the moment? Do you have a figure? An average figure of how many payments?
I don't have a figure, but I don't have a figure, but I can assure you that if he says that 18,000 pensioners in Lagos, that their payments failed, it means that, okay, Petard has a bias for Lagos state pensioners. Why is it that the other pensioners from all over the Federation are not making the same complaint? These are pockets of complaints, and we are addressing them. Like, this is a system, it's technology, there's nothing we can do about it. We have a situation whereby, like I said, these payments fail. Yes, it happens. As a matter of fact, I had apologized to the pensioners concerning the 3 months consequential adjustment, the late arrival of the money, because I had promised them, I had given them my word that before the end of the first quarter, they would get the 3 months arrears. And we pushed it. But it wasn't in our hands. And we tried to explain to them that that's the situation. As a matter of fact, we're very happy to have EFCC, ICPC, and all the law enforcement agents come and look into what we're doing in Petard. We're very, very happy to have them come over. Because we try to explain technology to our pensioners, but they don't seem to understand. And I think the problem is that they've gotten so used to being treated very badly in the past that they don't quite appreciate the efforts that we're making to change the narrative as far as defined benefit pension administration is concerned. I saw one of the placards and it said Dr. Ejikeme is a slave driver. I mean, I was so amused because really that's what I am. But I'm the chief slave in Petard. And I'm driving the whole of the staff of Petard to make sure that we change the narrative as far as pension administration is concerned. What he's talking about is not the norm. It's not the generality of the situation. And I don't want to say that they're being economical with the truth, but I would have been happier if you had brought in like the Nigerian Union of Pensioners, the other pension unions in Petard, for them to say what they feel. This is just a Lagos branch. And I also wonder, why is it that...
Look.
Can I ask a question?
What about the discrepancies that he talked about to the effect that some members are being owed 9 months, about the 3 months that you're talking about? Is it the glitch that is responsible as well?
That's what I just explained. I explained that, yes, we've had issues of people whose payments failed at upload. So those people that he's saying are being owed 9 months might have fallen into that group of people whose payments failed at upload.
Nothing is done.
When that happens, like I said, we always ask the complainant to bring a statement of account so that we can be sure that our payment wasn't made.
So how long will it take for this glitch to be resolved?
Pardon?
How long will it take for this glitch to be addressed? Because he's quoting 9 months.
It is not within our domain.
You hear that?
It's within the domain of the GIFMIS platform. It's within the domain of technology that is domiciled within the office of the Accountant General of the Federation.
But Peter should take responsibility for payment from the beginning to the end, shouldn't it? Up until the pensioners get their funds.
And we do that by interfacing with all the stakeholders. You see, the director funds will bear me witness that the weekend from the 3rd of June to the 6th of June, he didn't have any rest from me. He couldn't rest. No. Because pensioners, we thought we had paid, and the money wasn't dropping. And it's not the norm. I kept on following up to find out what is the problem, what is the problem. And it will be one, you know, it is here, it is there, it is there, it is there. So what we do is to continue to follow up. We don't have a hand in what happens the minute we finalize the payments. It gets to the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation with the GIFMIS platform. It gets to the CBN. It depends on cash backing and all of that. And we have no hand in it.
All right, let's bring in Comrade.
We've tried to explain this to pensioners.
Let's bring him in.
You see, I thank God that you had that direct from her. It's always glitch, glitch, glitch. Me, I no go school. All I know is that the bulk of all that we are talking about here lies on our table. She is the one that is paying us. She has the franchise. That's the PITAD is the franchise giving. The government gave the right to give this money to us. And our position as a union body is to fight the cause of our members. When somebody who is supposed to be given his or her own entitlement, rightful entitlement, not that they are begging for it, that person does not receive it. Put yourself in that person's position. How would you feel? Your colleagues have received their own 9 months, and you are there. You saw it. Most of these people, they are spent already. They don't have any other means of livelihood. They depend on, and majority of this money that is being given to them, most of it goes into medicals to sustain them. And when that kind of person now sees his colleague being given, that's the reason why they are dying every day. You need to see how people come, obituaries every now and then in a week. At least you get about 4 or 5 dying. She claimed it's a glitch. 9 months down the line, that glitch has not resolved. You have not paid the person, and you want that person to be relaxed.
So, Dr. Jikeme, listening to what they're saying, you keep citing this gift miss, there's a problem there. I mean, have you escalated this? Because if they say that Peter claims that they've been paid and nothing has dropped, clearly there's something missing here. Have you escalated to the extent that, wait a minute, how do we know that there isn't some sort of fraud or scam going in here? Because if several months they claim they've been paid and they don't see anything, because the tactics in some areas is people let this thing delay, they claim they received shadow messages, and at the end of the day, nothing comes and the monies are diverted.
Like I said, we continue to follow up. We regularly continue to follow up to make sure that if there's a problem along the system, that we report to the appropriate authorities and that we get this problem resolved. You see, this glitch is not the norm. Let me say it here. This glitch I'm talking about is not the norm. It's an exception. It happens once in a big while. You know, the reason you heard them is because they didn't get this 3 months arrears when they thought they were going to get the arrears. That is not to say that we don't have complaints. We certainly have complaints. And we continue to resolve those complaints on a daily basis. And not just that, we're trying to be proactive with issues concerning pensioners. The way he's talking about it, I think it's unfair to the staff of PITAD. It's not even about me. It's about, you know, all the people in the PITAD working very hard every day, just trying to make sure that we right the wrongs of the past. You know, so I am actually lost for words, you know, and I'm actually I can't even understand that the pensioners that we have been working so hard to take care of, you know, he's talking about they owe. Last year, like I told you, we came up with an expanded project. And when we did that, over 24,000 pensioners who had been owed arrears for so many years, some people who were not even on the payroll since 2015, were put on the payroll. And government paid over 8.5 billion to these 24,000 pensioners. Now, the outcome of that particular exercise is the front burner issue. And please, permit me to tell Nigerians about that now. Last week, I called the Federal Civil Service pensioners. As a result of that particular project, people had been underpaid. We took care of them. People were not on the payroll. We put them on the payroll. But as a result of that project, we found out that 14,836 pensioners are on overpayment. And this is the payroll we inherited. You find a situation where a federal civil service pensioner who retired as a driver is earning more money as pension than what he was supposed to be earning when he was in service. So by the time we finished that project, we had to call them because a lot of them, you see somebody whose pension is 100 and something thousand, what the pension is supposed to be is 30,000.
All right, well, wind
so
it down now, Dr. Chikeme.
Tell them, look, this is going to be a shock.
Okay.
No, please, can you help me? Let me finish this. I said this is going to be a shock to these pensioners because they have been earning pension that they do not deserve. And the wage bill of that overpayment is to the tune of over 78 million monthly.
Okay, well...
of people who are
hang on, Dr. Chikeme.
And a lot of them are owing.
All right, we need to wrap up. Go ahead.
Madam Chikeme, you are a woman, and by right, people used to feel that a woman, naturally, they have subtle approach and good minds. I want to be the reason why the federal government put you there. Even your predecessors had been women up to your own. There was somebody there before you, Madam Sharon. During her tenure, we never had it bad. Pensioners received their what have you, as I went due. Before 28, pensioners are so assured that their money will definitely come. But immediately you took over, everything went comatose. There are a lot of fundamental wrongs going on in that petard. Take, for instance, this person that I brought. 2 million plus. The person does not receive. And for fact of what I'm saying, I came with originals of that person's statement of account to prove whether is it true this person was paid. I vetted it myself. There was nothing of such.
And you were going to say something about fraud. Is it something you can say in 30 seconds?
Yes. There are a lot of unwholesome happenings in petard. If not, this will not be happening. And it's not only this particular person that has same problem. There are several of them.
Okay, so the thing now is we've been reaching out to the Office of the Accountant General and that of GIFMIS. They need to explain what is going on, because if these allegations keep making the rounds that payments have been done, they get receipts or they get notices, letters that they've been paid, but the actual people say we have not received anything, they need to explain. So we need them to come forward. We'll keep trying and hope that they come forward and explain to Nigerians what really is going on. But in the meantime, there's got to be a handshake between petard and Union of Pensioners. So we'll keep on this matter and hope that it can be sorted. But we have to thank both of you for coming on. Dr. Chioma Ejikeme, Executive Secretary, Pension Transitional Arrangement Directorate, petard, as well as Comrade Abiodun Michael, who is the State Secretary, National Union of Pensioners, Federal Civil Service Pensioners Chapter in Lagos. Thank you both for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, that is the show today. Well, thank you all for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. I'm Chamberlain Oso.
And I am Bukola Samuel Wemimo. Bye for now.